How we doing today, neighbors? Ian with eTrailer here. Today we're looking at the Patriot from Blue Ox. It is a portable braking system, and we'll be taking a look on our 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL Unlimited. Let's get into a couple features and then that install. A couple good reasons you may want a portable braking system over a permanent system that's stuck in the vehicle is if you had two or more vehicles that you plan to flat tow. Say you've got one that you'd prefer on your camping trip where you're going to be going out and maybe driving over some rockier roads, you'd want to take the Jeep. And then if maybe you've got a sedan that you'd use for city driving, this portable option is really going to make it to where you don't have to pay as much for the two systems because they are pretty expensive when you get into the permanent systems. And also this is just going to allow you that ability to switch between those vehicles pretty rapidly in comparison to trying to set up a second vehicle. And I will say the setup and installation of this really isn't that bad as long as you've got that good 12-volt power source. Once you're flat towing, some vehicles you will have to disconnect the battery, so that's something to keep in mind with the portables, is that you will need a constant source of 12-volt power for it. And with this portable system, once you've packed everything up, you're ready to hop back on the road. It's as simple as just plugging in the breakaway switch, plugging in our 12-volt power, sending power to the unit, allowing it to set up. And then once we've got our good confirmation, we're ready to hop back on the road. And then this portable system is going to feature a breakaway switch just like a permanent system would, where if we have a catastrophic disconnect, that switch will be pulled, thus applying the brake to the vehicle and slowing it down to a complete stop. Now normally this controller box would be mounted up in your RV, but I wanted to be able to show this while we're looking at the brake system here. And you're going to see where it's got force and then this number 5 here in the top left corner. What that's indicating is the maximum amount of force that can be applied to the brakes by the system. So that can be changed in the settings. If you needed a higher amount of force, of course that is something that can be adjusted. Additionally, here at the bottom you're going to see our large brake button, and when that is applied, that will work as our manual brake. So that way, if you needed to apply more pressure to your towed vehicle opposed to your RV, this is how you would do so. And then the controller does feature a backlit option, so if you didn't want that glaring at you in the middle of the night, you can always turn that light off. As I had showed earlier with the breakaway switch, not only when that's pulled will it activate the brake in the system, but it's also going to give you this nice tone and immediately tell you to pull over. So you've got lots of warning here if something was to catastrophically fail. So I'd mentioned that you are able to change the force, and if we go into the menu option here, that's going to bring up another list of adjustable items. You'll see also there is sensitivity, which is going to match whatever you happen to be pushing on the pedal with. Since this is a proportional braking system, the amount of pressure you apply to your pedal up in the RV is going to be the same at the portable braking system in your towed vehicle. And while we're talking about it, of course you'll want to make sure you've got that 12-volt system already hooked up in your vehicle. If not, we've got some great kit options that'll help get that squared away. But let's hop into that install and kind of go through how to get this set up. We will need to run our 12-volt wires through the firewall. What I've found is there's a good grommet up to the right of our brake booster here. So we could just take a pair of needle nose and grab one of the tabs on that grommet, and we'll give that a good pull and that'll come out. With the grommet removed, we will need to pass through the two wires for the 12-volt outlet. So we'll just drill a nice big hole dead center of those for that to pass through. And with the grommet still removed, we'll run either a piece of wire or a fish wire through the firewall. And you can reach it with your hand, so if you didn't want to run the fish wire, you can do this with two people. Somebody can just reach down and pull that through while you're out here on the outside. And before we hook to the fish tape, we're going to run on the bracket. So we want the teeth facing towards the wires, and we'll just go over all of those, bringing that down to the outlet. And then once we get to the outlet, we'll just shove the end into those 3 teeth, and that will sit like that. And then we will take our wires and our fish tape here. We're going to tape those together. And then we'll head back up to the engine bay. And we're going to go ahead and fish those wires through. And get our fish wire pulled off here. We will take the grommet that we drilled the hole in and put our positive wire through first so we can get that fuse link in, followed by the ground wire. And then we're going to set that off to the side for now. Then the kit's going to come with some self tappers that will just mount the outlet in. Of course, we want to make sure there's nothing behind where we're going to be drilling into, and then it's kind of up to your creativity of what you can find as far as spacing for it. And we're going to take the grommet and get that back into place. Should just snap right back in. Draw out all the extra slack and make sure in the vehicle that that's routed the way we'd like. Take the end that looks like a headphone jack, and we'll just put that right through the grommet that we've opened up. And then we'll just get this down to about where the portable system is going to be living. Now we've got our 2 wires that we need to deal with. We're going to set the power wire aside for now and handle the ground. And we found a stud that's going to work. It is a 10mm nut on that stud. It is located right by that brake booster where we came through for the firewall punch through. We'll get that loose. And then with that ring terminal on the stud, we'll just go ahead and tighten the nut back up. Our battery is located on the passenger, so we do not have enough wire here to be able to reach the positive terminal for the battery. They do not include any butt connectors, but we are going to cut off the provided blade, strip back the wire, and then we're going to add a yellow butt connector here and get that crimped. Now I've got a piece of wire that's going to be more than long enough to get us over to the positive, so I'm going to add that into our other side of the yellow butt connector. These are not provided with the kit, as I had mentioned, so please do pick those up from etrailer.com, and you can also get a section of wire if need be. And we'll go ahead and crimp that other side. And then we're going to come back with a heat gun and get that all shrunk down. I've routed the wire up along the back of the engine compartment here, just using zip ties to tie off to the clamp points all along that. And we're going to take our end that is going to the battery, get that stripped, and then put on a ring terminal. Here on the battery positive post, we've got a set of nuts and studs that we'll be able to use. They've already utilized this center one for the light system. So I'm going to remove that same nut in the center and then add this ring terminal. That is a 12mm to remove that. With all of our connections in place, we're going to go ahead and just double check that we've got everything zip tied out of the way, avoiding any hot or moving parts, and then we're going to triple check our RTV down at the grommet as well. The wiring harness that we've got for the breakaway switch, I've already got it ran, and I wanted to show how I ran it. I did follow the 4-pole wiring as well, and that is just coming straight back behind the bumper and then following down along the bumper beam. Then we went above the frame and then followed along next to the power steering gearbox, coming up along the frame rail, following the existing lines, and then straight over to the grommet here that we've cut a hole into. We've gone through the firewall on that grommet, and now we've got enough to be able to hook up to the unit in here. And we're gonna fill the hole up around the wiring with silicone. Before we place the unit in, we'll want to take the feet that are provided in the kit and get those screwed into the bottom of the unit. Place the unit on the floor. As we're going in, we're going to open up these jaws till they go in the locking position. And we will need to move the seat all the way to its rearmost position, which it looks like it is already for us here. And then we will set the box in place, getting the jaws around the brake pedal, and then there's a button on top you'll push to release and grab onto that brake pedal. Take the power supply off of the unit and plug that into our 12-volt outlet. Now, a couple adjustments we're going to have to make. I've got the feet almost all the way out, and that's just with uneven floorboards, you don't have to use the feet, but it definitely helps. And then we're going to take our pad here on the back of the unit, and that will need to line up with the seat. So we'll go ahead and get that into place and tighten down the threaded nut here. And that's just done by hand. There's a little handle that'll allow you to tighten that into place. Now we're going to take our end from the breakaway switch, get that plugged into the unit, and then we'll move the seat to just before it touches the pads. That may take a little adjustment, so there we go, right up before, and then we will hit the power button. Once we push the power button, you should have these alternating blue and green lights. If you do get a solid blue and red, there's too much pressure on the brake pedal and the unit will need to be slid backwards. So just wanted to mention that since it is a possibility and how to correct that problem. Push the setup button here. That should cycle, and that will find its positioning. Once we've got the solid green light, that is going to be our indicator it is ready. And then with everything installed, again, we've got that green light, so we're ready to put the vehicle into flat tow mode and hook up to the RV. And that's going to do for our look at and installation of our Blue Ox Patriot portable braking system on our 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL Unlimited. My name's Ian with eTrailer, and I appreciate you watching.